My name's attorney Ed Malek, and it's my great pleasure of speaking to you today in this very sunny afternoon in my backyard. But I'd like to speak to you briefly about insurance coverages. And I probably most of you know the answer to these questions, but I always get almost from all clients some question in regard to coverages. Now, there's several types of coverages, and the one you're most familiar with is liability. Liability coverage means if you're at fault, you as the driver, me as the driver, Ed Malik as the driver, and I run into someone, my insurance, providing I have insurance coverage, pays for the other man or lady's damages to the extent that I damage their car or their bodily injury. Now, in the state of Ohio, we are required to carry $25,000 coverages at least. That's the minimal amount in the state of Ohio. Really, if you can afford it, I encourage you to maintain a much higher limit of liability insurance. But equally as important, and even more so important, I would carry a policy of uninsured motorist coverage or underinsured motorist coverage. And it should be at least equal to the amount of your liability insurance coverage. For instance, if you carry $50,000 liability coverage to protect the other person you strike, you should carry uninsured motorist coverage of $50,000. That means if you're driving down the road and you're struck by an individual who's very poor, who doesn't have any insurance at all, your insurance coverage will participate, go into effect to protect the other man or other lady who's the negligent driver. In other words, you will look to your own coverage to pay for your car damages and your bodily injury that you sustain. So it's very, very important to maintain uninsured motorist coverage. Now, I worked formerly while attending law school at night as an insurance claims adjuster. And at that time, the insurance companies did not encourage the sale of uninsured motorist coverage because it's very cheap. It's very inexpensive. It's very cheap as compared to liability coverage to protect the other guy, but you want to protect yourself and your family. So I encourage you to maintain as much uninsured motorist coverage, a very inexpensive way to protect yourself from the drivers. Now, you know the COVID's on us, and a lot of people are having tough times. We all are having tough times, and everyone will put their families, food, and their lodging first. And the last thing they're going to think about is maintaining insurance coverage on their own cars. I would be the same way too. I mean, that's human nature. So you have to protect yourself, and I'm just encouraging you to maintain uninsured motorist coverage. Now, there's such a thing equal to the amount of uninsured motorist coverage protecting the non-insured driver, the man or woman who runs into you that doesn't have insurance, doesn't have anything to pay you. You go back to your own insurance company and they pay you for the damages you would sustain or your family sustains in your car. The underinsured motorist coverage is something, let's say, for instance, you have a policy of $50,000 uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage, and the other person has only $25,000 worth of coverage, liability coverage. So they will tender their $25,000, assuming your injury is that bad. Then if your case has a value up to above that, you can then go back to your own insurance company of the difference between 25, assuming you maintain 50,000 underinsured coverage. So the difference is $25,000. For an additional amount of $25,000, you can go through your own insurance company and submit a claim to them, and they will pay you the amount of the value they determine, and you determine in your claim is the amount of a value claim, and you go into your underinsured motorist coverage because the other man or woman did not maintain enough coverages to pay for your damages. The other type of insurance, which I think is important to know about, is med pay coverage. Oftentimes you go to your agent, and I found many people have a good med-pay policy of maybe $5,000, which is not bad. You can have 10,000. I've seen other cases that they're very smart and wise to have that, but they will not have the other coverages, uninsured or underinsured motorists. They'll substitute med-pay coverage because med-pay coverage is good to have, is great to have, but they will downsell or not sell you the underinsured, uninsured motorist coverage because it's very, very cheap and very expensive. So you would go back to your own insurance company, and your insurance company would, in fact, pay your bills to the extent of the medical payment coverage, let's say 5,000 in this instance. Now, there's some other issues. For instance, many people have health insurance coverage. That could be Medicare, Medicaid, own private insurance policies. It's really better when you go to the hospital or you go to your physicians. The hospital always asks you, was this an automobile accident? Well, you obviously, if it's an automobile accident, you want to be completely honest, completely tell them your full injuries, and it was as a result of an auto accident. Because you don't want to, you want to be very factual and very honest. You're honest in everything, but very honest in this. But they'll also ask you that possibly the name of the other person's insurance company, but you should ask them when you go to the hospital, and that's the last thing in your mind. You want to give them your health insurance card. Your own doctor's office, and oftentimes hospitals in particular, will want to submit their full bill for payment to your medical insurance carrier. They don't want to use your health insurance coverage. This is detrimental basically to you because they have an obligation, I believe, to use your health insurance coverages versus your medical payment coverage, because they don't want to submit their bill to your own health insurance company or Medicaid or Medicare, because Medicaid, Medicare, and your health insurance company will diminish the amount of money they're paid. So they want to be paid full value. So you're in effect substantially paying for other people who submit their health insurance coverages or they pay through their own health insurance company through your own medical policy. There's other reasons you don't want to do that, but they're a little bit more complex, and we offset in the settlements when we're handling someone's case. It is important, I believe, that you talk to an attorney immediately after an accident. Well, first of all, get to the emergency room, get to your physicians right away. Take care of yourself. If it's a grievous injury, I honestly believe that you should have an acquire attorney. I hope it's Malek and Malek, or Ed Malek, and my three attorney sons, who are excellent attorneys. But in any event, if it's not us, get your own insurance attorney to handle your insurance case. It's not, by the way, the attorneys out there that have these flashy ads on TV are the best and most effective attorneys to handle it. You want someone that really cares about the person, that will advise them. For instance, if a person comes to our office or calls us and has a very minor injury, I encourage them not to settle the case right away, but I encourage them to make certain that their injuries are completely taken care of, they're well, and within the scope of the statute of limitations. Don't run out and try to settle a case, because oftentimes that injury will continue. They might feel good for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and you might have subsequently a disabling injury related to the auto accident. So I encourage them to take their time. But a lot of people think that they have to settle and this is common things. They have to settle their auto injury case along with their property damage, car cases. That's untrue. Used to, formerly, many years ago, the insurance company used to leverage them, saying, well, we'll pay you for your property damage if you settle the uninsured motorist case, your injury case. then that's unethical. They don't do that anymore. Don't think that you have to settle your injury case to get your car paid for. The insurance company, the wrongdoers insurance company, should in Ohio take care of your car, um, and allow you to have your injury claim open. And you don't want to foreclose that right and that opportunity. You want to receive as much needed treatment as you can get. Don't um, be a tough person and say, "Hey, I'm 20 years, 30 years, 40 years old. I harbored everything, and I need this help, but I'm going to put it off." Go right away to the doctor. Follow up, because a lot of insurance companies, in dealing with you directly, if that's what you want to do, will say, "Well, you might wait 2 or 3 weeks to go back to the doctor and say, well, how could this be related to the automobile accident? You didn't treat right away." It's best to get your treatment right away. So I hope I've answered a few of your questions. Um, and I hope I haven't confused you more with the coverages. Malik and Malik will be happy to answer your questions as best we can, uh, over the phone. And in cases that we feel and you feel that you would like some help, I know that we'll provide um, honest, sincere, and in my belief, true answers to the question, and truly care about you and your family. So that's about all I have to add today.